Right, good morning everybody and welcome to my assembly. I hope you're all having a good morning this morning. Before I start the main part of the assembly, I just wanted to do a quick notice about allergies and choking. This young man on the screen here sadly passed away because of an accident in another school in this country this month actually. It was a result of something relatively insignificant, you might say, might consider, and kind of silly by some other students who literally threw a small piece of cheese. His allergies were so severe that when that hit him, he went into an anaphylactic shock, was unconscious inside 10 minutes and passed away later on in that day. What I just want to be really clear with you all is there's some really simple things we can make sure we do so that nothing like that happens in this school. One is just being really sensible with food. So certainly, and we would expect anyway, not throwing things, but also not moving or putting food near to people when you don't know them or in a way that's silly without their consent. Because something quite innocuous could turn out to be something quite serious. And also, I suppose the other is don't be silly with bits of food or other things, throwing them around, trying to catch them in your mouth, some things like that, because that can potentially be really dangerous, really hazardous. So just be careful with that. It's been in the news a little bit. Also something that some of your heads of house said they sometimes see around school. So let's make sure we do that right so that we're all safe. Now today's assembly actually is linked a little bit to that, but it's also linked to a really important idea for us in schools, and that's how we learn, and particularly how we relearn things is quite important for you all at the moment as Year 7 come towards the end of their year. Year 8 are about to do exams. Year 9 and 10 will be very aware that Year 11 are doing their GCSE exams, which will be something that will come around for you very quickly. And that is linked to our wildly important goal, which is to do with focused hard work and persistent attention to detail. It's particularly the focused bit of that hard work I want to talk about today. I don't really want to talk to you about working harder, but more about what you can do so that you can work smarter really in order to be successful at relearning things. So Year 7 and 8, you've got a bit of an advantage here because I've talked through some of the slides I'm going to show to the rest of the school with you. But given that you enjoyed those assemblies so much and you responded so well to them, I thought I'd share some of that with everybody. So the key ideas in this assembly are: testing helps relearning. There are lots of types of testing. It doesn't just mean a written test. Testing is more about learning than judging. It's not seeing to give you a grade. It's about learning what you don't know and then fixing those gaps. And spacing out your learning, testing, and even forgetting helps with your learning in the long run. So for Year 7 and 8, there's some bit of demonstration of that, because we're going to look again at this St John's Ambulance First Aid Key Knowledge Organiser. Form tutors got to pay attention because there's quite a lot of pausing of this video. So for example, if I put a red block like that in this next part, form tutor's got to pause it and you've got to tell me, or tell your form tutor, because obviously I won't be there because I'm on a video, you've got to have to tell your form tutor what was behind there. The form tutors can play along a bit here as well. So there's the whole set of knowledge. It talks you through the primary survey in the top corner there. Below that is what to do if someone is choking, and a picture of a defibrillator, which we'll come back to later. Talks in the other top corner about resuscitation, so what to do if someone is not breathing, and with a couple of little pictures, and then some other key useful information about how to use your mobile phone and where defibrillators are, which I thought were particularly important things that I took out of that course. So that's what we're going to learn. I'm going to cover up sections at a time. When it's covered up with a red block, pause the video and see what you can remember from behind the block. There's 4 of these. So here's the first place to pause. Now, welcome back. So there you go, you can see whether you remember the right things. We're now going to pause another section of the screen. Welcome back, see what you remembered there. Did you get all of those bits? Were there any bits you didn't get? We're now going to go another section. Again, did you get all of those things? You'll notice that I'm keeping some of the same bits covered over again, so you're having to retest yourself on bits that are familiar and then adding in some new bits. That is a really good thing to do when you're relearning something. Here's another one. Hopefully that time you got those choking bits, because that's the second time that's been over. We're now going to see a test. So again, if your form tutor pauses this, okay, there's the answers to the test. Are all on there, just to quickly go through them, see if your tutor got them right. You always do first, if you see a casualty, check for danger. If someone is choking after you tell them to cough, you do 5 hard back blows. The compressions in CPR is 30. What do you always do after checking if a casualty can respond or not? You call for help. That's very important. The defibrillators in Billingshurst are in the train station, reception in school, Sainsbury's. There are a couple of others actually, but those are the three that I'm very certain about. And 121 is the other emergency phone number. The answers are all on that piece of paper there. Right, next way to revise, we're going to talk about flashcards or matching pairs. So here we go, this is an example. You could have these as separate cards and then you match them up, or you could have front and backs of cards. Some of year 11 do that quite effectively. All I want you to do again in your tutor group, pause it, match them up. And welcome back. The answers here, so Defibs, look, Sainsbury's reception train station. 5 is the back blows, so question number 2 goes with C. 330 goes with compressions, which is the top one. Danger is the bottom one, and response goes 5 goes with D. Right, so we've now done 3 different types of testing, and hopefully you're beginning to learn some of this stuff. Our next type of testing is applying what you know. So here is a casualty, and this is another type of testing actually, but we're applying our knowledge to a scenario. This would be a bit like the first aid equivalent of an exam question. So here you go, pause the video, discuss, based on what you've learnt so far in this assembly, what would you do? And here now you've unpaused it and the answers. So first of all, you would always check for danger. Something bad has happened to this chap here, and you've got to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to you. So you've got to make sure there's no danger to you. You then check for response from the casualty. You call out, maybe tap them on the shoulders. Then very importantly, you call for help. And thirdly, you check the airway. So those little diagrams, top right hand corner, I think, of our sheet, you knock the chin back, push the chin back, make sure there's nothing obstructing their ability to breathe, and then you see if they're breathing once you've cleared the airway. If not, you would do CPR, and if they are, you can then check for cuts and bruises. If they're not breathing, you don't worry too much about the cuts and bruises, because the breathing is way more important. So here's our second one for applying. So this chap is choking. Same thing, pause the video, discuss what you do. Paused are the answers. So you ask if they're choking. Seems a bit ridiculous, but you ask in case they're playing around or actually they're going to be fine. If they can talk to you, they're not that bad. You then ask them to cough, and at that point, really good time, especially if you're in school, call for help. Because if it is an allergic reaction like we had at the start, actually doing the next bit isn't going to help. We're going to need to get them some very specialist medicine, which we hold for all of our students who have allergies in our student reception. So you then do 5 hard back blows. Then you check their mouth if that hasn't worked, if nothing's come flying out. And then you would do 5 abdominal thrusts. By this point in school, someone would be there to help you know what you're doing. But abdominal thrusts are basically where you push underneath. You probably can't see on the video, but you push under your ribs. You can kind of do it to yourself if you get stuck yourself, to be honest. All those different types of tests, our application, our straightforward questions, matching up, and our look, cover, check, which is a really simple one, are all really good ways to learn a chunk of knowledge like that. Year 7 have these for most of their subjects, these little knowledge organisers. Older years you might have things like PLCs, which are lists of all the things you need to know. So back to my key ideas, my really crucial ideas I want you to take out of this assembly are: testing helps with relearning, and hopefully the testing you've done today has helped you learn some first aid, some basic things, might save some people's lives. That there's lots of types of testing, that testing is more about learning than about judging, and sometimes it's the judging bit that makes us a bit frightened of testing and then shy away from it and do something else, like colouring a poster or something, which actually isn't telling us that much or really helping us learn things. And then finally, hopefully you've seen your year 7s and 8s have done really well at this today, because they've done this bit before. So spacing out your learning, testing, perhaps even forgetting a little bit, really helps you learn stuff as well. So my very final stuff, before you all give me a big round of applause and I say goodbye, is this. I've done a little quiz, which I've sent out in a link with this video. There are 2 prizes to win. The fastest 3 tutor groups, to get them all right, get an edible prize for their tutor group and for their tutor, which I'll bring round after half term. And the highest scoring house in total wins a prize for their head of house. So there's a bit of competition for you to get on with if you've got time now or later in the day. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good day. Bye.